While a bunch of drunk men in South Philly can argue for days about who is the single greatest Philadelphia Phillies player of all time, it is likely that they'll be arguing about the same four players. From the Whiz Kids era, Richie Ashburn and Robin Roberts, and from the 1980s World Series winners, Steve Carlton and Mike Schmidt. All four are in Cooperstown. All four took their team to the pennant. All four had their numbers retired, and all four remain fan favorites. So in the coming weeks, we'll take a look at each of them individually, and we'll start with number 20, Mike Schmidt. Of the four legends, Mike Schmidt is the only one to have exclusively played for the Phillies. Ashburn finished his career with the Cubs and the Mets. Roberts played for the Yankees and the Orioles in his twilight, and Carlton hung on with the White Sox, Indians, and Twins. And those are the saddest baseball cards in the 1987 set, perhaps ever. Schmidt, though, was Phillies for life. The Phillies signed Mike Schmidt in 1971, and he spent a brief 2 years working his way through the minors until getting called up in late '72. Knowing he was their future at third base, they traded Don Money to the Brewers to open the roster spot. Schmidt started the 1973 season and never looked back. Schmidt shares a rookie card with Ron Cey and John Hilton. While Cey had a somewhat notable career, including a World Series MVP in 1981, John Hilton played only 4 completely forgettable seasons with the expansion San Diego Padres. Much like 1963 Phillies rookie John Hernstein, who shared a rookie card with Willie Stargell, John Hilton's greatest accomplishment is sharing the rookie card with future Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt. The 1973 Topps card, number 615, had the highest sale price of any sports card from the 1970s, when a PSA Gem Mint 10 card sold for $234,000 in February of 2021. A pre-rookie card of Schmidt does exist. Card 64 from the 1972 Ediciones EVA Puerto Rican League set. But that card is impossibly rare and costs many thousands of dollars in any condition. Tens of thousands if mint. For now, at least, collectors can still find an authentic Schmidt rookie, raw and in good condition, for well under $1,000, and sometimes even under $500. 1974 was Schmidt's first solo card, number 283, and his last without his signature mustache. It was a breakout year for him, too. He led the league with 36 home runs, 116 RBIs, and he earned his first of 12 All-Star selections. His 1974 card is creeping up in price, so bring 50 bones if you want a nice one. Topps traditionally reserves cards ending in 0 or 5 for popular players. Schmidt made the cut in 1975 with card number 70. He led the league that year in home runs again with 38. By the mid-70s, Topps was beginning to ramp up production, which creates a weird paradox for Schmidt cards. As each year progressed, and he became more and more of a dominant force in the league, his cards decline rather alarmingly in price and value. With the sluggers that came before him, like Mays and Mantle, there is still good value left in their final cards. The Hall of Famers that retired during the junk wax era do not share that fate. Check your 8th grade textbooks for the supply and demand lesson to understand why. You'll only need about $25 for a decent 75 Schmidt card. In 1976, Schmidt led the league in home runs again, and won the first of 10 Gold Gloves while leading the Phils to their first of 3 consecutive NL East crowns. Topps printed more cards, though, so the 76 Schmidt, card 480, runs only about $20. Note the action shot, instead of the posed photo. Also throughout the 70s, Topps moved more and more towards action shots, and their photographers got better at capturing them. In 1977, Schmidt became the highest paid player in baseball history at the time, and his home run output was a big part of it. He certainly didn't spend the extra money on haircuts, though. Card 140 will set you back about $15. He slumped a bit in 1978, hitting only 21 home runs, but he absolutely rocked the old-style batting helmet without the ear covers on card number 360. Heck, most players have full jaw covers on their helmets these days. We take it for granted, but MLB players didn't need to wear a helmet to bat until the 1970 season, and veterans were grandfathered in, so through the mid-70s it was still fairly common to see players bat without helmets. You can pick up this card for about $10. 1979 saw Schmidt break out of the slump by shattering the Phillies' single-season home run record, ending the season with 45 dingers, eclipsing Chuck Klein's 43 home runs, set all the way back in 1929. '79 brought not only more home runs, but also Pete Rose. More on his cards in another episode. With Charlie Hustle on board, the Phils needed only the mighty bat of Mike Schmidt to finally win the World Series. His 1979 card, number 610, has a lot of copies, so many that Burger King was giving them away. But that's another episode. In 1980, Mike Schmidt put the team on his back and led the Phillies to their first World Series title. He finished the season with a career-best 48 home runs, 121 RBIs, the National League MVP, an All-Star selection, the Silver Slugger, a Gold Glove, the World Series MVP, and of course, a World Series ring. That's a hell of a season. You would think that would translate into a valuable baseball card, but Topps kept accelerating production, so a nice 1980 Topps card, number 270, only costs about $1, maybe $2. 1980 was the peak of Schmidt's career, the peak for the Phillies, and the last gasp for baseball cards as a fun little kid's hobby. With the start of the 1981 season, cards were becoming big business. Topps lost exclusive rights to produce cards, and newcomers Donruss and Fleer popped onto the market. They came hard at Topps, and all three ramped up production to idiotic levels, creating what we now know as the junk wax era. Sets expanded with lots of special inserts, and with 3 sets competing, Schmidt has a bevy of cards from this time. In just the 3 base sets, Schmidt has 6 cards in '81, 5 cards in '82, 4 cards in '83 when the Wheeze Kids Phillies won the pennant again, and that's not including the new Donruss Diamond King set and the 2 different glossy All-Star sets. Interesting note, his 1982 Topps card was finally granted the almighty card number 100, the number reserved for the most distinguished card in the set. Congrats, Schmitty, you made it! 1983 was card number 300, 84 was card 700, 85 was card 500, 86 he was card 200. By 1987, Schmidt was in the twilight of his career, and his card number 430 was moved out of the vaulted even 100 position. He had been bounced around positions trying to find a place to keep his beleaguered knees out of trouble, and had so many baseball cards on the market you could pick them up by the hundreds. An '87 Topps Schmidt costs about a quarter, despite his hitting his 500th career home run that season. And most dealers will just give you an '88 or an '89 in any set, take your pick. His '88 card is number 600, a return to form in his last full season in the big leagues. By 1989, Score had come along. Bowman appeared after a near 40-year absence, and upstart Upper Deck brought cards a high-end sheen, elegance, and price. Upper Deck featured Schmidt in card number 406 of their inaugural set. His last Topps player card was card number 100 in 1989, a tip of the hat from the card company to this all-time legend. Sensing the end, Schmidt abruptly retired while he could still proudly walk away from the game. Topps gave him a turn-back-the-clock salute card in the 1990 set, the last in which he appeared. The numbers are well known, but they are truly heroic. 548 home runs, a 12-time All-Star, 3 National League MVPs, 10 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers, 8 home run crowns, 2 pennants, and 1 World Series, and the World Series MVP to boot. He was a first-ballot Hall of Famer, and today enjoys commentating on games from the broadcast booth for Sunday home games, Sundays with Schmidt, as they're called. Popular players like Mike Schmidt have all kinds of oddball card issues. Cereal cards, dessert cake cards, defunct department store cards, shout out to everyone who remembers Ames. The list goes on. Through the years, Schmidt has been featured on a host of reissues, inserts, relics, and autograph cards sprinkled throughout the hobby. There are hundreds and hundreds of unique Schmidt cards. The true number might not be known. I suspect it is well over 1,000, maybe 2. Though many of his cards are worth just pennies today, his rookie has real value and will continue to for all time. Cumulatively, there are more Mike Schmidt baseball cards than there are total baseball fans in America. And maybe, for the greatest third baseman in baseball history, there should be. To Phillies fans, they're all priceless. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you want more, and share with a friend who you'd think would like some Phillies baseball card stories, legends, and lore.